Boy, is this good. This is part two of Nikki Haley and Glenn Beck. There's some choice stuff here.
He was for President Trump the whole time,
Right.
from the very first day.
And she's an immigrant.
Oh, and
So her mother was fully for Trump right off because of immigration laws that he wanted to change and make more legal and stop with the border stuff, wall, and keep these people out. Her mother was 100% for it because she paid the price to get here, and she didn't like the fact that people would just walk over the border and have nothing to pay to get in here.
she loved how straightforward he was. She loved the fact that he wasn't going to let the United States get taken for granted. But more than that, she loved what he was going to do on illegal immigration. Because my parents came to this country because they wanted a better life for their kids. And they put in the time, put in the price, and came here legally. They are offended by those who come here illegally. So she very much wanted to do that. And it's funny because we had a lot of talent on that stage, 16 people.
Good people.
I was so giddy about that slate.
Mm-hmm.
And I put my...
Let's go forward here a little bit.
Down the Constitution. Don't burn all those things down.
So there are people that on Glenn Beck's show that just wanted to burn D.C. down, just burn it down because of the swamp-infested place it is. So we've talked a little bit about how probably 60% of these people are going to either fade out or go to court privately, and maybe 30% will be legally charged and brought up in court and put away. We'll see.
He was a disruptor.
Right.
Trump was a disruptor. And even Glenn Beck was against him. And he knew, he lived in New York and knew some of the stuff that Trump did. But Trump was a disruptor.
He was a disruptor at a time when we needed a disruptor.
And in this impeachment, I think and I've seen it now, because I was so arrogant. I wasn't an empath. I didn't hear. I was just so confused by the people who had listened to me for so long. And I thought they were, constitutional and all this stuff. I didn't see the pain that they were in. They had given up. They're like, Glenn, GOP's not going to do anything. It's not going to happen.
A lot of people believe that the GOP was just lazy. Weren't going to take the lead. Weren't going to oppose things. They were lazy.
Happen. I see Donald Trump, what he's done on many things, Israel, one of them. Ted Cruz probably wouldn't have done that. I mean, he would want to, but he probably wouldn't have done that.
I mean, the courage that the president showed. And Glenn, I was there. Here and his entire national security team. I think presidents before him campaigned on it. I think they all genuinely wanted to make the change. And I think what happened was exactly what happened to the president. They'd get into the national security meeting and everybody would say, you can't do it. You can't do it. The sky's going to fall. People are going to die. And I watched that happen. And he only had 3 of us on his side. Everybody else was not. They just were scared. They just didn't want anything bad to happen.
Right.
And he had the courage to say, if not me, then who? And he went through, and you know what? The sky's still...
One thing about Trump is he has a lot of nerve and courage. He stands up to stuff that no one else does. There's no two ways about it. He's a disruptor. He's not a politician. Doesn't play the games that politicians do or the way they do it. And this disruption, both sides have hated him for it, even some of the rhinos in the Republican Party.
Still up there.
So,
and it acknowledged a truth that needed to be acknowledged.
In 2007, I was sitting with George Bush in the Oval Office. And it was when Barack Obama said, I don't care, we'll just fly over Afghanistan, we'll bomb Afghanistan. I'm like, oh, dear God, you can't. It's an ally. And I said to George Bush, help. And he said, and he tried to, he thought this would make me feel better, but it scared the hell out of me. And it wasn't until this last year that I get it. He said, Glenn, don't worry. no matter who sits behind that desk in that chair, they're going to get the same advice, and they're going to realize the president's hands are tied, and they'll do exactly the same, which Barack Obama pretty much did.
Mm-hmm.
This guy comes in, and they just think they know more than the president, and they don't believe that they're working for the president, the elected.
Mm-hmm.
They're institutionalized. I'll see you come and go. He refuses to play ball with them, and I think partly because they all attacked him from the beginning. And so he had his backup, and I'm not listening to you. And he has certain views of things, and he just does it. And I think that's what this impeachment, he's a hand grenade. And he rolled into Ukraine with all the State Department and intelligence and everything else, and he blew up, and it's like a wall came down that he didn't mean to maybe take down. He took this wall down, and you're like, okay, yeah, he was a hand grenade, but who was behind that wall? Does that make sense?
No, it totally does. And look, I think that he came in and everybody asked how I got out of the administration without a tweet. And basically it was, I would tell him the truth. If he was doing something right, I would praise him, I would support, I would rally, I would do whatever was needed. If I thought he was making a mistake, I would call him or meet with him and say, I think you're making a mistake. Instead, I think you should do X. And he would say, okay, how do you see that playing out? He would always listen, not just to me, to everybody. Mm-hmm. So he was one that...
Wow, now that's a great businessman and a great a leader. He would listen to a lot of people. He would take their advice into consideration. How do you think that will play out? Now that's a leader.
Was willing to be swayed. Mm-hmm. But when he made his mind up...
He was done.
It was our responsibility to support and rally for him to get that done.
That's the way every business, every household, everything works.
It's the way the American public expects it to work.
It's the way the American public expects it to work, but it does not work that way because there are too many career politicians falling in line.
Obama used to say all the time, elections have consequences.
Yes.
You were asked to be Secretary of State.
I was asked to be in the running for Secretary of State. I wasn't formally offered the position. Okay. I was asked to come to New York and talk about it.
And you went and you said, not me.
I'm not your person. Yeah.
Why?
Because I think that you have to know when and how to be successful. And we had too much going on in the world. And it would have been...
The United Nations is just the same, except it's the big people's table, but they don't do anything.
I just didn't think he needed someone with that much of a learning curve going in being Secretary of State. And I think it's important for people to know their boundaries. I'm not afraid to push through the fear and do things that are new and try something new. That was too big of a step. And he deserved better, and I thought that the American people deserved better.
So when he first picked Rex Tillerson, everybody, of course, was like, it's because of big oil, and shut up. Who else has the experience of running a company the size of Exxon, and he's already negotiated massive deals?
We were very excited. I mean, I thought... especially because he had dealt with leaders of other countries. Mm-hmm. The business side, I love to see business people go into government.
Now, there's a great truth. Smart, aggressive, good business people need to be in government. And a lot of them don't want to get their hands dirty and be involved with the crap. I understand that. But good business people need to be in government.
Mm-hmm. I always think that's the way to go because they get rid of the red tape. Mm-hmm. They understand that it's all about getting things done. Mm-hmm. And so we were all very excited about Rex.
I thought that was a brilliant pick. Turns out not so much.
They just disagreed on everything, literally on everything. And so it would put me in the middle of that situation. And I agreed with the president on almost everything. So, when you look at, and I think the president was frustrated because so much of what he was trying to do, Rex would slow walk, stall, or just not do it. It's the reason why he asked me to go to Vienna to see the IAEA that was looking over the nuclear production of Iran and doing all of the inspections was because he said Rex wasn't doing anything. And so it was constantly issue after issue where that would
He
happen.
actually came to you and you two talked, and Rex was, we're protecting people, and we don't stand in the way. And in some ways, look, if you really think, I don't believe we just take orders from the president. Mm-hmm. If you really believe somebody's going to be dangerous, you then have to make the choice. Do I stay in to advise, knowing that I might always not get my way, but I advise? Or is it so dangerous that I need to leave and tell the people why I left and let the chips fall where they may?
I mean, this was a real concern for me because I saw that he was slow walking things, or I saw that they just weren't doing what the president was asking in the National Security Council meetings. But on this day, we had a meeting in the Oval Office, and it was about giving Palestinian aid. And I wanted to pull the aid because they were anti-American. This agency wasn't willing to reform. Mm-hmm. It was a waste of taxpayer dollars. The president agreed with me. Kelly brought in Rex. Rex countered it. And so he said, y'all go out and figure this out. So me and Rex and Kelly were sitting there, and we were talking for about an hour, and I basically was saying, this is what the president wants. And that's when they came in and they said, look, we're not undermining the president. We're trying to save the country. And if we don't do what we're doing by stalling or changing what he wants, people will die. Now, this would be different if they thought he was unfit. This would be different if they thought that he wasn't stable. That's not what their issues were. This is the fact that they didn't.
These people were already fighting Trump, slowing things down, had people in around him that were bad news, that wouldn't move forward, that weren't progressive. They were bad news. This was a major problem in his first 4 years. And it may be still a part of a problem in his last 4 years, but it won't be as bad. He's had to fight so many things that it's mind-blowing.
Agree with getting out of the Iran deal. They didn't agree of getting out of the Paris Climate Agreement. They didn't agree with moving the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem.
It's not theirs to agree with.
These were policy issues. So if you don't agree on policy, do what I did and go tell the president, but they had every opportunity in National Security Council meetings, or quit.
Right.
And so that was the bottom line, was they just thought they knew better than the president. And the reason this touched a nerve with me is I ran for governor. I know how hard it is to get elected. I know when you make promises to the people that elected you, you want to carry it out. I was offended that they were looking in the mirror every day thinking that they could be president. I think both of those guys are patriots. I will first say, I think they went in, they loved their country, they wanted to serve their country, but they were just wrong. They were just wrong to go against the president like that.
It's fine to believe that. It's fine to disagree. It's totally American to disagree. But once the president has made the decision, your job is to execute what the president. I mean, the president is the commander in chief.
Right.
And you can't run Rex Tillerson should know that. You can't run Exxon if all of the executives around you are trying to save Exxon or go a different direction. You just can't do it. It won't work. So how alone is he?
I mean, I think he's got good people around him. I think that he just needs to be told the truth. And in the book, I talk about my relationship with him and how he was just so willing to listen. And he needs people to do for him what I did, but also what I expected my cabinet to do for me when I was governor, which was be creative, serve the people, and if you see me taking a wrong path, say something. And, the president's not rigid. He's not closed-minded. He will listen to anyone that has any issues. I don't know the scenario now that I am gone, and certainly there have been a couple of other changes. But, I encourage all those people in his circle to just keep protecting him and moving forward on his policy issues and keep speaking up on what they see.
So this is a big problem. They didn't think Trump had the smarts, the savvy to be president, and a lot of them trying to slow him down and save America and go against his policies. Big, big problem. And I don't know how much that still exists. It may exist still. I mean, this guy's done more to move things forward and do things against incredible, incredible odds. This is Roger Martin from Billings, Montana. Very interesting hour program. This is the second part. I encourage you to listen to it. Good day.